Hi there everybody. Welcome back to the Vintage Sewing Machine Garage YouTube channel. You are looking at my last and final coating for filling in the two chips on my otherwise really impressively beautiful Singer 99K. I have created painting series, I have a paint series I think that's what it's called, of videos where I've shown how to touch up machines or my approach to touching up machines. And with certain colors, I will sometimes use, especially bright colors, like for the Japanese machines in the 1950s, I will use nail polish because it's hard to find bright colors in traditional high solvent paint. And in this case, though, I am using a product called Testers, and I am using, I mentioned this in the other videos. Hopefully you're watching the videos in order, but if not, just so you know, this is a paint that you will find in craft and hobby stores, craft supplies. You might find it in an art store, but it's not really designed for artwork, but I'm sure some artists have used Testers in the past. In any case, Testers makes a number of products. They have an acrylic line, but this is their original traditional solvent, or what some of you might call an oil-based paint. And this is the one I recommend for working on vintage sewing machines. I have never had issues with it bonding to and getting along with chemically the paint that's on this traditional Singer. And so that's what I'm using. I'm going back to my my smallest brush, and I think I mentioned to you, well, there were two chips here. I suspect someone dropped something, probably an attachment of some sort, and banged it by accident. Who knows how long ago. I cleaned out the spots. You saw me put one coat, and then I allowed 48 hours or more for it to cure, and then I went back with a second coat. It has now been, gosh, 72 hours since the second coat, and I am going to try one more. When I, gently rub my hand across this, I still feel just a very slight edge of the chip in the paint. And so what I've been doing essentially is building up or filling in the chip, the two chip areas. And I've been doing this gradually. You build up in layers because this paint may not be as thin as nail polish, but it's not far from it. And the goal here is to be conservative, be cautious, don't go in with lots of paint. I've been basically just daubing it into the empty space. And what happens is it looks larger than what it's going to dry, because when that solvent goes, it's going to level out. The paint that stays behind will be sort of a shrunken version of the one of the little wet globule, for lack of a better term, that you're going to see me apply. And I've got some really good light here. I think you can actually see the two spots. There's a little round one and slightly elongated chip there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically come in and just basically I'm just pressing the brush right where the hole is, and I'm just leaving it. That's it. I'm not doing anything else. I'm not, gonna swish it around or any of that stuff. While it's wet, I can try to move it, but I have very little time to do so, because if I fuss with it too much, again, I don't want any texture. I want it to dry smooth. And so I have to be a little cautious with that. And so I'm kind of feeding. Remember, the brush acts as more of a wick. You're not brushing as if you were dragging the brush across something. There's not a lot of space to do any dragging. For this oblong area, I'm going to come in and I'll probably put just slightly more paint on the brush because I've got a little bit more of an area to fill. And I'm just going to come in and I'm looking at it in this sort of grazing light so I can see it, because it's kind of an odd thing to look at. And I'm going to come down, and I'm just daubing. Like I say, I'm going to let the paint wick from my brush into the space, and it's basically just barely overlapping the edge of the chip. In fact, it's really not, I wouldn't even say it's overlapping, it's meeting the chip, if you will. And so my goal here is to finish, basically leave it alone. And again, you can see me, I'm very tempted to go back, and you will be too, but I'm leaving that temptation alone because I don't want, I do not want to create more of a mess. It's not going to be perfect. It's not really supposed to be. So I have fed those chips, and that is the third. And I believe once those two coats shrink, I'm going to be pretty level. If I go any further, if I push things any more than I have, then I run the risk of getting, you know, kind of a lump, raised area on the surface of the machine, and I don't want that. You know, I don't want a big pit where the chip is, and I don't want a raised area. I basically want it to be as level as possible, so that when the new owner gets the machine and sews on it, it'll be smooth. That's the whole point. Now, sometimes, you know, people might, for example, they may touch up their machine because they want to, for aesthetic reasons, you know, they don't want to see a chip or a scratch, and that's fine. That's a very subjective thing. I don't know. I honestly can't tell you, you know, what the best decision is there. It really has to do with whether it bothers you or not. Just know that my main purpose, because with this being black and the chip area being dark, it didn't really show up in terms of as a color so much, but you could feel it. And again, this is the area where fabric is going to be fed back and forth, and we want it to be as smooth as possible for the sewing work, because aesthetics matter, absolutely, but you know, this is also a working machine. So that is my less is more approach, and I hope this was helpful. If you've ever been tempted or wanted to touch up your machine, but you were afraid you might mess it up or make it worse, this is one way to approach it. Very small brushes, and again, you're not really dragging a brush across the surface. You're basically just letting the hair of the brush wick the paint into the hole, and it you know, apparently it does pretty well. Again, with paint brushes, you don't have to get, you know, the finest art brushes in the world. Those can be very costly, but don't go and purchase something that's you know stiff as wire either. In any craft store, actually, where I got the testers is where I bought this giant pack of brushes. I think I got 25 brushes. Some of them are quite large, but you can get a variety pack, and these brushes are very soft. Now, I'm pretty sure these are synthetic. When you get natural hair brushes, the cost goes up, and you can use natural hair brushes if you want. These are synthetic, but they're very soft. So you don't have to invest a fortune in them, and you can use them for other things. But even when I use nail polish, I use these artist brushes, because nail polish brushes, they might work for your nails, but they're a bit clumsy and rough to use on something like a sewing machine or any kind of paint touch-up. So there we have it. That, I believe, you know, is the final touching up of the machine. If the chip is not as deep, I might have only needed one coat, especially with black, because it covers well. Or sometimes you need more coats because some of the nail polish colors will not cover as well as black or white testers will. But even with the testers, especially in other colors, you may need more than one coat to cover, but sometimes you just need more than one coat to fill the scratch or the chip in. So for those of you who love the look of your vintage machine, yes, you can touch them up. But again, my approach is less is more. One of my viewers of the channel some time ago mentioned the word conservator, and because when we use the word restore or overhaul, tune, I go through the whole machine, and I like the word conservation because conservation infers that we're going to go in and give everything a going through, especially when we're dealing with cleaning and making sure that the brushes are good and we've got everything lubricated and all the gold goop and lint cleaned out. Of course we're going to do that. But when it comes to the aesthetics of the machine, I like to have a conservator's approach as opposed to, some people like to strip their machines and paint them the way you would an automobile, and it can be done. And I've seen it done. Some people have had their machines. A lot of people with featherweights have done this. Not a lot. Some of them have done this. And they'll have them painted all kinds of beautiful colors, and they can turn out really well. I don't do that, and if you decide to do that, give it thought, because those people who have that done are having it done by people who have professional level skills to do it, and it is extremely costly to do well. So, and I love the old finish. I don't want to lose all the provenance and the patina. Sometimes, I may not touch up a machine at all. It just depends. But anyway, this is the conclusion of at least 3 videos just on paint touch-up with this little Singer. I hope this was helpful for some of you, and of course you can use this video and use the same approach. It doesn't have to be a black machine or a Singer. But anyway, I hope this has been helpful. If you were just finding this video, please go back, and I should have them numbered because you want to see them in order. They'll make more sense to you. Have yourself a wonderful day, and we will see you in the next video.